My name is Jennifer Watkins, and I'm pleased to be on the steering committee for On the Move to bring you all together for a great day of information and networking and fun. I'm also on the Board of Directors for Dance Ontario, so if you have any questions about that organization, please feel free to come and talk to me as well. But my purpose for standing here now is to introduce the panel for presenting yourself professionally. And we have three great people with us. Dancers, artists, choreographers, producers, artistic directors. They kind of cover the gamut. First, we have Danny Davalos. In the middle is Christopher House. And at the end is Tanya Crowder. I'm going to let them go in that order to introduce themselves. And what we're really looking for here is how to move forward, how to present yourself in all the different areas that these people are going to talk about, and perhaps some of their experience of presenting themselves professionally as well. Anyway, Danny, could you start, please?
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes. Well, my name is Danny Davalos, as you already heard. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Puerto Rico, raised in Mexico. I moved here to Canada about 12 years ago. I'm proudly to say I'm Canadian now. Yay! I'm Canadian. Basically, I've done a lot of things in this industry. Some of my main things that you can call it, I've worked with Ricky Martin, Janet Jackson, Shakira, Sean Desmond, Danny Fernandez. So as you can hear, my bio already is all the commercial stuff. I started when I was pretty much 6-7 years old in the National Ballet in Mexico, and a little accident turned me into commercial around 14 years old, and I never let go since then. I own OIP Dance Center, which is a dance studio just a couple blocks from here. And I'm still choreographing. I'm still an active professional dancer, and I'm very excited to be here, and hopefully I can answer some of the questions that you guys might have. And yeah, that's me.
I'm going to stand up.
Stand if you're comfortable. Good.
Hi, I'm Christopher House, and I'm currently the artistic director of Toronto Dance Theatre. I've actually had that job since 1994. But I've been involved with the company since 1979, when the dance world was a very different place. And it's been really exciting and very challenging also to see how things have changed. And it's unbelievably exciting to look out at this room full of people who are just vibrating with energy. It's really a pleasure to be here. And I will be happy to answer any questions you might have. And I'm really excited to see what directions this conversation might go in today.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Tanya Crowder, and I'm an independent dance artist based in Toronto and a little bit in Montreal as well. So being an independent dancer, I wear many hats, including a professional dancer who's worked with Keja de Dance. I worked with that company in Toronto for about 8 years. Currently, I dance for a company in Montreal, Sinha Dance, which is a contemporary and Bharatnatyam fusion company, so classical Indian dance and contemporary dance fusion. As well as I choreograph work of my own in contemporary style, and I also am a dance presenter in the city of Toronto. So I work for Series 808 as a program manager for their performance series, which is a work in progress performance series, as well as I'm the founder and artistic director of Dance Matters Dance Productions, which holds 3 dance series per year, and it's a curated program of finished works. And I guess I've been a professional for about 16 years now, which is amazing how quickly time has gone by. And I look forward to sharing some experiences and hopefully some useful words of wisdom with you today. Thank you.
Great, thank you, everyone. I'd like to start by each of the panelists, I think starting with Tanya, just to go in the reverse order this time, to talk about, particularly in your role of producer at an event like 808, what kind of expectations are there for people to present themselves in that area, what kind of materials they need, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. First thing is really is communication. So finding out the information that you need, certainly the web and Google is useful these days in terms of seeking out venues, and Series 808 being one of them. And you can go to the website and source some information that way. But certainly there's an email contact and address that you can contact me at to get more information about how you can apply to our Work in Progress series that happens about 8 to 9 months of the year. And as emerging artists, there are slots for emerging artists. So as you finish your year at school this year, you can start to look at, over the summer, especially before the season begins, if you're a choreographer and you're thinking about working on something, or you sort of have some ideas that you want to start percolating in the studio and want a venue to show some of those seeds, 808 is a perfect place. And so what we look for in terms of application is we have a form that we send you, and things like your biography, so writing about yourself, your career path thus far, and because you're new into the world of professional dance, a lot of that information is going to be where you've trained, people you've worked with at school, any workshops that you might have taken up until the point of your application going in. Those kinds of things would be seen in your biography. And as your career path grows and becomes longer and longer, you'll start to add things into those, into your biography, as well as your CV or resume. So again, as a new artist emerging into a career in dance, it's going to be based on a lot of your training and past experiences of training, and the teachers you've worked with, any awards that you've won during school, whether that be in your pre-professional program or high school arts program, if you did go to one of those. Anything that seems kind of interest, any teaching that you may be doing, those kinds of things are useful as well in your CV or resume. In our application for 808, we also talk a little bit about wanting to get to know about your artistic process. And of course, that's a really tough thing to ask, especially when you're just starting choreography, maybe for the first time. So I think you can talk a little bit about what are you curious about, and what are the things that you intend to explore in the studio? What are the things, what kinds of dance are you interested in terms of perspective and aesthetic? Are you really looking at gestural work? Is it really technique that you're interested in exploring? Is it improvisation? Is it character work? So you can think a little bit about the aesthetic that you're kind of working from, and the things that you're curious about in terms of, especially for 808, because it's a work in progress series, so we're not looking for finished works. We're actually looking really at those base seeds, those ideas. And the beauty of 808 is that it's a first come, first serve application, so it's not a curated program, so it allows a lot more openness in terms of being the first venue that you show work at. So, and it's also a great place to meet people, meet other artists, and meet people who've been on staff at 808 who have a gamut of experience. And yeah, I mean, I could speak for an hour on those things, so I will stop there.
Thanks, Tanya. Christopher.
Same question?
I think it would be interesting to talk to everyone about the perspective of approaching an artistic director of a dance company.
Right. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, every organization is going to be a little different, and the culture of every organization is different. The thing that I'm always on the lookout for is somebody who actually will fit into all of the different aspects of the work that I do and with the people that I work with. So if somebody says they're interested in working with my company, and I think most directors feel this way, you want to make sure that the people actually understand what it is that they're saying they're interested in doing. So I know that sounds very simplistic, but it makes a huge difference, because the hiring process, although a really thorough resume is great, and a good photo and a good video, possibly. Those things tend to come after the fact. My first experience with people is usually in class, or if they come to an audition, or if they approach me, or if they invite me to see them perform. And the thing that is going to get me excited is if I think that that person is genuinely excited about what it is that we're doing, and they want to be part of it, and not just get something from it, but give something to it as well, bring something. And that's a little bit challenging because, of course, when you're at the beginning of your career, you're still trying to figure out exactly what it is that you want to do. So one thing you can do in applying for jobs is to research really well, get a sense of what this company is, so you don't waste your time. If it's not a place you really want to work, I mean, even a year where you're in a situation where you're not really getting something from it is a wasted year. So I wouldn't recommend that unless you, for some reason, you need to have a stamp of experience in order to do something. Sometimes I guess we have to do that. But yeah, figure out what it is, and then also figure out what you need at that particular moment.
Great. Thank you, Christopher. And Danny, can you give people some tips or information about presenting themselves professionally in the commercial world?
Well, just like Chris was saying, every company and every type of form of audition of dancing it's a little bit different depending on what you're looking for. And in my case at OIP, in the commercial side of it, we obviously audition more dancers that want to be part of a concert, backup dancer for an artist, music videos, movies, things like that. So for us at OIP, or any choreographer that I work with from LA to New York and here in Toronto, it's pretty much the same thing we're looking for, and it's just passionate, skilled dancers. You could be one of the most amazing, skilled dancers in the world, but if you don't show your passion, like you were saying, for where you're looking to get from the commercial dance, chances are you will never get chosen for that video, for that concert, for that artist, for that movie. And you can come with a very elaborate resume, and it happens to me a lot of times that a dancer comes with a resume saying, yeah, I was a backup dancer for Ricky Martin. And I'll be like, really? I don't remember seeing you there. Because I actually worked with him, right? And then when you actually talk to the person, they'll be like, oh, I was an extra on the back with 100 other extras. It's great to put, that you work in music videos or in movies and things like that, but really specify that, you did the extra work. Because at the end of the day, with a great resume, with a great picture, maybe you pay $1,000 for that picture and it's great. But until I don't see you on the dance floor doing my choreography or doing somebody else's choreography, you're not gonna get picked, right? So for us in the commercial industry, it's very, you gotta catch up our choreography. You gotta make sure that you're a clean, strong dancer. But at the same time, we need to see your passion, because you're gonna be dancing in front of 20,000, 50,000, maybe 1 million persons, like watching you dance and just giving your passion on stage, because that's what a concert is, right? You go to Brazil to the Stadium Maracanã, which holds about 80,000 people. That's 80,000 people screaming for you on stage, going nuts for you on stage. So we need your passion, because 80,000 people need your energy, right? So what I'm trying to say is, what we look for is your passion for dance, mainly, right? Everybody has different angles. Everybody wants to go to different venues, contemporary ballet, lyrical, this, that. In the commercial side of it, that's what we look for. We look for somebody that has extreme passion for what they do, love what they do, and don't think about, the money or the fame or none of that. That will come. That will come eventually. But, you gotta be on stage loving what you do, loving what you do, and then everything else falls into place. And, I'm a living proof of it. I'm not famous or nothing like that, but I've never done a 9-to-5 job in my life. Never, never, never. My first job was a dancer, and my last job has been a dancer. I choreograph, I teach, I dance, and I've never had, knock on wood, I never had to knock on something else besides dancing. So it's a, you can make a career and you can make a living out of it in any area of the dancing, as long as you have the passion for it. So to sum it all up, we're looking for passionate dancers. There we go.
Good. I'm actually going to open up questions from the floor because I think this might actually allow the panelists to talk more about some of their personal experience or share from that perspective. So, anyone with a question? Yes.
How important is it for you that to pick up material?
The question is about picking up material quickly. And you're talking in an audition situation or a class?
Well, for me, obviously, that's a key thing, right? Especially in nowadays in the commercial industry, when you get the opportunity to do a music video, and they only give you about 2 days to rehearse, and then you're on set or something like that. Back in the day, you used to get about a month to get ready when the economy was better and there was more budget. Now you got 2 days to get ready. So obviously, that's a key for us. But I mean, if you're one of those dancers that struggles a little bit with picking up and everything, try to compensate with something else. Try to compensate with your energy, with the way you present yourself, the way you interact in class and everything. Because a lot of times when I see a dancer that don't pick up choreography that quick, but I see other qualities, like I was saying, you know, you love the art, and I can see that, and I can see your face behind the screen or on the show or something like that. That picking up, you know, the material quick I might actually defer to it and make the decision of picking you up.
Go ahead, Tanya, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I'll just speak from a dancer's perspective and my own process with picking up material. I know that when I first started in my professional career and even in my pre-professional school, I was probably the slowest person at picking up material. And I speak to people in my class now and they say, actually, you're one of the first people who knows what's going on. So the transition for me was certainly a challenge, but I think what I started doing was trying to find the ways, figure out how I learned. So not just how it was being presented, but also figuring out, well, how does my brain work and how does my body pick up material? And what is it that I attach to right away? For me, it's like the general pattern and then the details come. For some people, it's in the details. So I think a little bit you might want to do a bit of research in the studio for yourself and figure out, like, what is it? How do I move? How do I improvise? And that kind of gives you some cues into actually how you pick up material. And practice. Go to class. Go to classes you're not familiar with. I think the biggest thing that happens in the trap that happens when you leave school is that you start to get afraid of what's out there and you still take classes from the same people that you studied with at school. And I think the biggest way that you learn is to have to take classes from all different people. Jazz classes. I took jazz classes to just like get a little bit faster in my pickup and do better turns. I did ballet classes, contemporary classes, and now I'm doing Bharatanatyam, which is extremely fast, extremely quick coordinations with the fingers and the rhythm of feet. And, you know, same pattern still applies. I have to figure out how I learn so I can pick up the material. And I think Danny's right, like, you need to have other things in your toolbox for the dance audition.
Christopher.
Again, coming back to what I was trying to say earlier, you need to very carefully define what you mean by material. What it is you're talking about. Are you talking about shapes? Are you talking about the steps? Are you talking about being on the right foot? Or are you talking about someone who's more interested in a particular quality of movement or generating a kind of consensus within the people work in different ways, and sometimes the dancer who can make the line and the shape and be very specific rhythmically is going to give you that thing over and over and over again, and it may not be the thing that you're interested in at that particular moment. So it's a much, again, depending on your priorities, it's a much broader question sometimes than we consider in advance.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the work of the choreographer who you want to work for. I mean, certainly I've worked with people who it's improvisation scores that we're working on. It's not about how great an arabesque I can do and how quickly I can pick up the material. And then there are instances where it is a necessity. So I think Christopher makes a really good point there.
There's something about determining the degree of partnership that the choreographer is looking for. Do they want you to come in and be one of, in other words, anyone's name could be in the costume, but if you can execute the material properly, you'll have the job. And that's certainly one experience, and it can be a really exciting and satisfying one. Or is it a situation where the choreographer is actually interested in developing a relationship with you, a mutually inspiring relationship, which may involve you very specifically and profoundly in the creation of the work itself. And there's a whole range of options in between those two.
Thank you. Yes.
How, from a teaching perspective, can you present yourself professionally without, just working in studios? Like, is there another way or another aspect that you can to get yourself out there as a teacher?
As a teacher.
Well, I'm not 100% sure how it works on you guys' side. On our side, it's a tricky one because again, on the commercial side of it, it's all about nowadays with the Facebook, the Twitter, the YouTube, and all the stuff. It's like a lot of teachers become more known by people seeing their work online or just coming to class, period, right? Because it's commercial, so people wants to see who made the best new choreography to the latest Chris Brown song, right? It's the commercial stuff. And based on that, young dancers like you or any dancer will be interested in taking classes from that teacher. So, I mean, I'm not saying don't go to your living room and create something and put it on YouTube. Sometimes that actually works, as funny as it is. You putting a video of yourself teaching to a couple other fellow dancers and everything, it will actually make the job. In the commercial side of it, you actually have to teach in the studio and get your as we call it, your stripes as a teacher. Because in the commercial side of it, it's a lot of the hip hop dancers and a lot of the funk dancers don't come from an actual school. They learn it from themselves, from the street, from Brooklyn, New York, and all that kind of stuff. So there's not really a school that will tell a hip hop teacher, okay, you're ready to teach. You're ready to graduate to teach. There's none, unfortunately. I mean, we're working on it. We're talking to some of the creators in the Bronx and Brooklyn of how we can develop something like that, where we can actually, have a degree in hip hop teaching. But I mean, that's another topic right now. But basically, you get your stripes and you get your recognition as teacher from teaching at studios, putting your work out there and, take a chance, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times they'll see your work on, like I said, on YouTube, on Facebook, and they'll be like, oops, not that good, right? I experienced that. I put some stuff out there that, not that good, but you gotta be realistic and keep trying. But that's on the commercial side. I don't know about you guys.
Well, I think I've just been teaching the last few years contemporary, independent, professional level classes, as well as some classes for teenagers, essentially, either at pre-professional training programs in high schools that have an arts program. And I think how it started, it was sort of a strange evolution. And for me, it wasn't necessarily a priority right away at the beginning of my career, or else I probably would have approached it differently. But the things that I've learned would be, especially in the contemporary dance form, there's so many possibilities and styles and aesthetics. The biggest key for me was to know what I was teaching and know what I wanted to teach. Like, by the end of the class, where was it that I wanted my students to be? What kind of experience did I want to offer them in terms of a practice? And I looked at it as a practice, and I thought, well, I need to actually spend some time in the studio creating a practice that I do so that I can understand how to teach it to my students, whether they're 14 or whether they're 24 or they're 30 or they're, you know, my age or my peers, so that I could find the through line of what it was that I was interested in and the approach that I wanted to take, because there's so many different ways to approach it. Building a resume and teaching can be challenging, and I think the biggest thing is to just practice teaching. So yes, studios are a good way to start. Maybe not the most ideal environment sometimes, especially if it's not maybe your cup of tea, like the direction that the studio is going, but you can at least get some practice teaching and being in front of a room of kids and organizing classes, building that resume up. And then I think it's really a good idea, especially if you wanted to move up and move on to teach more professional level classes, to host a class for free. Bring some friends in, practice on your friends, get some feedback from those people. You can even invite someone who maybe isn't your direct peer, but through maybe your experience in the community as you meet other people in class, saying, hey, I'm practicing my teaching, I'm hosting a free class, it's at the studio, would you like to come? And I would love to get some feedback. You can also, if you're going to a class, talk to the teacher who's teaching that class about their experience. What kinds of things have they done over the course of their career to gain teaching gigs in schools and things like that. Because a lot of it, especially in the contemporary world, comes out of your work as a choreographer and your work as a dancer, and through the establishment of yourself as a choreographer and a dancer, the teaching starts to develop and come after. Not necessarily all the time, but that's one way. So yeah, ask teachers, talk to teachers, invite friends into your class, film those classes, because that's also, sometimes people want to see how you teach on film, and you can send in your resume through to a studio that way as well.
Okay, next question. Yes.
Has there ever been like a big moment or event maybe in your career that you felt you learned something new or kind of figured something out that maybe wasn't working before, and like something that clicked, that switch, that process?
I think it doesn't really boil down to one thing. I'm sure, I think everyone's going to say that, but certainly, I mean, a career is sort of an evolutionary process. I know for me it was. And I know that I struggled a lot with not really being sure where I was going and what I was really interested in. I just knew I'd love to dance. And I was going to be very determined about being a dancer and being in this world of dance. So, you know, through trial and error, I guess, I discovered things that didn't work for me, whether it be a certain style that I was working on or work that I was engaged in. Maybe I realized it wasn't really for me. But the biggest favor you can do yourself is to be open, and really be open to the possibilities, and not to narrow your focus so much that you miss an opportunity. And I think I never expected myself to end up where I am now, producing shows, and I never really thought I would do that. I wasn't educated in that way. I was never educated to be a dance administrator or to do any of those things. I did them because I wanted to show my work, and I created a venue for myself, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I learned a lot of things to make myself better at what I do. And same thing as a dancer, I guess. I learned a lot. I allowed every opportunity that I had in terms of getting work to be a sponge, to take in as much as I could. I took workshops, I tried things I was afraid to do, so that I could grow, so I could be, even, I mean, you say the word versatile, I suppose that's part of it, but also to be an artist, to be someone who's curious and not afraid. And I think that's kind of where I ended up, how I ended up, you know, even doing work that's a form that I don't know very well, and it's scary to think that I'm learning a new dance form at my age, and or at Nantayan, but I'm learning, and it's a slow process, but it's happening, and I think it's offering me more opportunities. And I think when I realized that if I get left, the biggest thing that helped me was to stay open and to the possibilities that could come, and not put myself into that label of a box of going, well, if I don't get into a company in the first 3 years of being a dancer like the way I was told I should be, then nothing's going to happen for me. I didn't get my first real gigs until about 6 years in or 7 years out, so it sometimes takes longer. Your process is going to be so different than everyone else's, and you just have to believe in yourself and put yourself out there, and also get involved in the community, because the community's success is in terms of everyone joining together and helping the community exist and be stronger. That the success of that will only enable your success.
Well, in my case, again, personal experience, and that was like a humble pie for me. And I take this as an advice, all of you. My eye-opening and my career-changing moment that I said, okay, I gotta figure something out, is the first time I got fired from a great job. I was back home, and I was one of those young dancers that I was booking every single gig that you can possibly imagine, everything. I was one of those go guys, and it got to my head, and my head blew as big as this room, and I was showing up late, and I was having, you know, the teenage attitude at the time, and I was doing stuff that I wasn't supposed to do at the time, and I was just feeling like, well, my dancing speaks for itself. And it wasn't even, you know, a huge big deal for me when I got fired at the moment. I was just like, oh, whatever, I'll just get the next job. But the industry is small everywhere you go, everywhere. Mexico, Puerto Rico, Canada, the States, it's very small. And in 3 seconds, you'll see how small it is, because everybody's talking about you getting fired and the reason why you get fired. And every audition that I went after that, I was told no, and no, and no. And from being that dancer that I was working, you know, every week of every month, I was unemployed for about a year. And I was doing like go-go dancing in clubs. That at the time for me, I was like, wow, how am I doing this right now? Not that it's a bad job, but you know, I was touring with Ricky. Ooh, it was amazing at the time. So obviously, you know, in 3 seconds, you gotta realize what you did wrong. At the moment you don't, you're still with that attitude, and that's the main problem. I think sometimes we don't process the thinking quick enough, and it took me about a year to really realize what I did wrong, and my attitude was wrong. And again, you gotta take a big piece of that humble pie and swallow it all, and really understand that you have to change that. And I changed it. And slowly, I got back into the horse. I couldn't quit. I couldn't just do something else, or just still have the same attitude and probably not even be in this country right now. But that was a big eye-opener for me in my career. And since then, you know, even on my company, at OIP, we have a dance company, we preach that a lot. You know, your attitude, the way you behave, the way you talk. Doesn't matter if you're the best dancer in the room, in the class, and everything. You know, it's all about you. Just being humble and really appreciate. Don't take dance for granted, because dance can be taken away from you so quick. And if it's something that you love, you know, it's like when somebody takes your phone off your hands and you freak out for a second. Think about that, you know? That's just a phone. I'll freak if you take my phone away from me. But if you take dancing away from me, you know, that's my life. So I'll give you that as advice, as a personal experience. But yeah, that was a changing moment for my career. I had to fix my face, like my brother Luther Brown would say, fix your face.
Other questions? Okay, back here, and then the guy at the back.
Hi, my question is about when you are looking at audition notices that may be posted, and kind of, I guess, evaluating whether or not you have the experience level to find the audition and how to do that. Because a lot of them specify like the dance style, but not necessarily the experience.
I have noticed in the last little while that sometimes that does get specified, depends on where you're looking. So they might be looking for more experienced dancer or experienced dancers. If you ever have a question, just go ahead and contact the person there's usually a contact email that you would be sending your resume to anyway. Excuse me. And simply ask, let them know in a very brief paragraph the basic outlines of your training, and just say that you would be excited to audition for such and such company or such and such group. This is where my background, this is where I'm coming from. I just want to ask if I would have the experience or the type of experience that you're looking for. And yeah, that would be the only thing that I would suggest that way. I think normally, instinctively, you'll know if it's for a specific dance style. That's something that you're not accustomed to. It may not be the best place for you to go, but yeah, I would just ask and make your email professional sounding. Spell check as your friend, and yeah, those basic things should get your answer fairly quickly, I think. Yeah.
Anyone else have something to add on there? No?
Yeah, just ask.
Just ask.
Yeah, and I think it's just a thin line, when it comes down to self-confidence and being realistic. Like if a lot of times when you see an audition poster there, and I don't know, 70-80% of what they're looking for suits you, then I think you're in the right audition. Again, have some self-confidence. A lot of times nerves will be like, I'm not that good for that. Maybe I shouldn't try that one. But you're maybe in the 80% mark where you're kind of like, yeah, I got that training. I think I can go to the audition. But if the audition said you need to walk on stilts or you need to spin on your head or something like that, and you think to yourself, I can learn that in 24 hours. I'll go to YouTube and figure out how to do it. At that moment, you gotta be realistic, because a lot of times we get that. We get the, we're looking for people that can do tricks and stuff like that, and then you get the dance. Okay, so show me something. They'll be like, well, I can only do. So at that moment, it's like, okay, you didn't really read the notice. So it's a little thin line right there, but like this guy's saying, asking, sending an email maybe or a phone call to the people in charge of the audition, and just be sure about it, but have self-confidence. Don't think just because it requires 10 years of experience and you only have 8, it means that you can't do the audition. You might have a good chance to do it. You might have, because a lot of times us doing the audition, sometimes we don't even know what we're looking for, to be honest with you. We put the audition out there and we say we're looking for 10 dancers, and then you end up hiring 12 because you like 12, but you end up hiring 5. You know what I mean? Because it's until the people come in the room and you see everybody's faces and technique and dancing and everything, that's when we decide, to be honest. A lot of times we don't know what we're looking for. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you. Yes.
My question is directed at Mr. Howe. I want to know more about the company, sort of like, rather than independent artists. I want to know, like, what you want in an audition kind of scenario, or like what artists are kind of like how you can show the qualities that you want from us, and how you go about finding employment in the company scenario.
So speaking from my experience, what I look for in an audition. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of hard to define. The truth is that working together in a company is, it is a commitment, a long-term commitment. So you choose people with as much care as possible. It's not the same thing as hiring for a project. So all things considered, maybe a dancer who in certain technical terms is stronger will not be the person that you would choose over somebody who has other qualities and who you might want to spend the whole day with. So it's, some of the same ways you choose your friends, people that are interesting and stimulating to be with, someone that you feel you're going to learn something with, and you're going to have fun together, exploring things. That's for me personally, and I think for a lot of people, that's a big part of the experience. I mean, there's certain things that are my, I guess, sort of aesthetic values. There are certain ways of being in the body. I'm not sure exactly how to define this, but I'm less attracted to people who treat their body as an object to be sort of mastered and controlled, and I'm more interested in people that are inside their body in what I would describe as a fuller way, but somebody else may want the opposite of that. This doesn't come up so often because, I'm not sure exactly why. But for me, it's really important to feel that the person is excited about the thought of working with my group. That makes a huge, huge difference. And that's a really big part of it. When we have, like for our intern audition, which we hire 2 people and as many as 100 people can come sometimes, and of that 100, there are usually 80 people who I could imagine working with. The level of training in the country is so high right now, and I think it just gets better and better, and also people are much more sophisticated at a younger age, so it's a little bit shocking sometimes to see the energy level. So then it really comes down to very personal considerations, and in some ways I'm sorry to say that. I wish there was more of a formula, but I'm just one person, and usually that's what happens with hiring as well. So it's that exciting, I think, about the potential of that relationship.
Right. Questions? Right here?
My question is about networking. We've been talking a lot about that today, and I don't know about everyone else, but it's something that I feel a little bit uncomfortable with, just approaching people and saying like, hi, I'm Lisa, and I want to work with you. And so I'm just wondering, I guess it scares me because I don't want to be annoying, and I don't want to be a pest.
Yeah.
So I guess just from your personal experience, some do's and don'ts would be.
Well, I'm probably the same as you. I don't like to be annoying in that kind of sense. And when I started my network back in the day, there was no Facebook or Twitter and all that stuff. So it's even more difficult because you had to go with your hand and all that stuff and be like, hey, how you doing? It's me. And I'm considering myself a very shallow person. Aside of the studio, I don't talk to nobody. Go to my cave, my apartment, and I stay there. I don't know why. That's just who I am. So it's very difficult for me to network as well. But one thing that I know it works for me as a teacher, as a choreographer, is when you're in an event like today, right here, right, and I see a lot of faces. I'm the worst when it comes down to names and things like that. But if you come directly and I see your face and you introduce yourself for 1 second, if I see you again later in a dance class, I'm going to remember your face. If the next time I see you after that and you're doing great in a dance class or an audition, I'm still going to remember your face. So maybe sometimes it's not so much your name, your phone number, your email address, it's just that contact, the eye contact that you have with the teacher, the choreographer at the time. Sometimes it's tricky because you don't want to come across annoying or too pushy, because we get that as well. I get tons of Facebook requests and emails and stuff like that and everything, and people just trying to be a little pushy. And it could be a little annoying for certain people. For me, sometimes it is. But again, if you're the kind of person that you do your job, you come into the class, the dance studio, the audition, you're polite, you do what you do, which is dance. Say hi, introduce yourself one time to the teacher. It doesn't ever hurt to after seeing every single class that you're taking the class from the teacher, go in and be like, thanks for the class today. So they keep seeing your face. So that at the end of the day, it's not so much all your full information. Your resume every time that you see them. It's that eye contact that you have with the teacher at the time, and that will help a lot. Because to be honest, that's how I hire a lot of the dancers that I hire for music videos and things like that. I remember their faces, and I'm like, oh my God. I might forgot his name, her name, or his name right now, but I know who she is, who he is, and then I contact them right away for something.
I think follow through. So if you go to the teacher and say hello to them, and that person is a choreographer that you really admire, that initial contact is great. And you'd be surprised how approachable people are if you're genuine and honest about your interest in their work and them. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying hello a few times, being in their class, working hard. They'll start to talk to you, and you can talk to them. Feel free even to say, I'm struggling with this, or I really like your work. I would be interested in speaking to you a little bit about it. Would it be okay? Would you be available for a coffee sometime soon? And in that case, if you are interested, there's lots of ways that you can work or gain work from said choreographer. It doesn't necessarily always have to mean that you audition for them and that they hire you for the project or the company. It can also be something that you initiate, that you commission them to create work on you. So if you're finding that the work isn't coming your way in the traditional sense of things, it's a great way to, one, get work, two, gain experience and be seen in other people's work. It's a process. It means a little bit more work for you. You've got to, do the research, get the money, do the administrative process to make it happen. But that's one way to gain some experience and work with the people you want to work with. I know I've done that a few times, and I've been able to work with choreographers who, not necessarily out of disinterest in what I do or what I could bring to their process or their projects, but funding, opportunities, just processing their career, those kinds of things. So seeking out opportunities for yourself is a big thing. And of course, I don't think anyone would deny you a coffee if you say that you're interested in their work, you really like their class. I would love to speak to you about working with you somehow, whether it be something that I commission, those kinds of things. I mean, I don't see why, if you're being honest and genuine about it, that would be an issue. And another way to meet people in your community and meet other artists is to volunteer at their shows, help out, get to know who they are and get to know their work by seeing their shows and being involved. It's a great way to network without feeling like you're being schmoozy, right? Because you're there and you're meeting people and you're helping out and being a part of something. Getting active in the community really helps a lot, and it helps you to meet people that you wouldn't normally connect with. It's really important to connect with a variety of people and network in that way. I think there's lots of ways you can do it. Those would be a couple of ways to do it.
Okay, we just have a couple of moments left, and I wanted to give each person on the panel just a moment to speak very quickly to the position that a lot of these fabulous young dancers are in entering the beginning of their professional career. So, who's going to jump in first? We only have a couple of minutes, so it doesn't have to be an elaborate answer.
Okay, so we talked about a lot of different things. One being believing in yourself and having a certain amount of determination. Dance is a challenging career, and it's an up and down process and a wonderful ride at the same time. Some key things is to get involved, find out what's happening in your community. If it's that you want to stay in Toronto and work in Toronto, then do what you need to do in terms of finding out what's happening in the community and the shows that might be occurring, not just the big shows, but the little ones too. Get involved, email, ask if you can help out or volunteer, find ways to meet people that way, and get into classes, different kinds of classes, workshops, save some money, do some workshops with some artists and different people, and meet different people of your age or within the community as well. Other things that you can look at as you embark into your career and finding opportunities for yourself in terms of performing. Stay connected to your peer group. there might be a way that you as a group can work together and put on a show or commission an artist together. It's easier when you spread out the work that way, and then that way you get some performing experience and some experience of doing that kind of professional work and on a professional level stage onto your resume, so you can start to build that resume as well. And yeah, do some soul searching, figure out what you really want to do, and play in the studio. Buy some studio time and play around and move for yourself too. Get to know how you move, not just how you move in a class, but how you move in general, building up your artistry for all sorts of processes like auditions and things like that.
Good. Yeah, I mean, for sure, just to combine these two, networking I think is a really good thing. I think it's really important for people you approach to know that you're interested in working with them, when you're enthusiastic about it, as opposed to you really want to practice auditioning or you desperately want a job. It doesn't matter what, I just want a job. Like, that's not really attractive to you, right? I would say for people that think that they want to stay and work in Toronto, it's probably a good idea to get away from the city for a while, just because your perspective really changes and things get much clearer when you're away. And especially if you go to other countries and you have opportunities to meet people your own age who are working in different systems and different structures, you learn a lot, and it also gives you the information to come back here and maybe affect some changes to things that don't work as well here as they might be working. So never underestimate your potential for working within the big picture, not just thinking about yourself as a dancer. As fabulous as that is, my God. But also look at what you want to get from dancing and be clear. If your goal is, if it's all about the act of performing, it may be a little bit of a rough job. I mean, Merce Cunningham famously said about his company, and he's the most extraordinarily beautiful example of this. He said you have to love the daily work. So if you love being in the studio, you love taking class, you love figuring out your body, you love figuring out choreographic solutions, you enjoy being with all these wacky, volatile people and collaborating with artists, then it's probably a good job. But if you're only interested in your fantasy of performance, it could be a little bit frustrating, and maybe there are other ways to do that in your life.
Yeah. Well, something that I will just add to that is pretty much along the same line. And you're right now on the stage of your life. You're just trying to figure out what's next, right? I want to get a job. I want to work into this. Don't work. Don't get a job. This is a style of living. Dancing is a style of living. Yeah, it's plan A. There's no plan B. If you want to make it in this industry, in whatever direction you're going, don't treat it as a work. Don't treat it as a job, because that's when you're just looking for how much am I going to make? Am I going to pay my rent? This is going to give me, for the car, for the mortgage, and that's when a lot of dancers differ from, for their passion into what worries it the most. It's a struggle, and you guys cannot let me lie. It's an absolute struggle every single day. But when you reach that point when you just turn it into your style life, and this is what you do for a living, there's nothing more amazing to do what you love and live out of it, to be honest with you. So don't consider this a job, as much as you want to call it, I want to work as a teacher, I want to have a job as a dancer. It's not work, it's not job, it's your lifestyle, and treat it like that. If you turn yourself into a plan B, you have a plan B, well, if I don't make it, I'll do, then you're setting yourself for failure, because you're already telling yourself, if I don't make it. No, put in your heads, you'll make it. You'll make it. It doesn't matter what kind of skills you guys have, it doesn't matter. If you have the passion and you have the right set of mind, you will make it. I was told tons of times, no, you won't make it in this industry. No, you will never do, including my parents, unfortunately. Now they kind of laugh at it, and I laugh with them. And I tell them, see, told you. Now when I send them a monthly, help, they're not that, So trust me, you just gotta focus on what's important for you. If dancing is not that important, like Chris was saying, then no, you might have to look for something else. But reality is, I think this is a room full of dancers, and you guys are looking to do something, in your lives with dancing. Make it a plan A. There's no plan Bs. All right, just go hard, go strong, or go home.
Great. Thank you very much to our panel, Danny, Christopher,